So what makes for a great website? Well, I've narrowed it down to 7 top things. First, ease of use. Second, it's mobile friendly. Third, we have that it's always growing. And then it's also got to be search friendly. It has to be technically sound, like no broken links. Sixth, we have a clear call to action. Your visitor should never have any confusion about where they're going to go on the site. And last but not least, consistency. So let's get into those things. Hi, I'm Wendy Literal. I've been a web designer for 24 years. On this channel, I would appreciate your support with a like, subscribe, or even just writing a thanks Wendy in the comments below. All those things promote the video on YouTube, which then grows the channel. So let's get back to it. Number 1, ease of use. So what does that mean exactly? It means that when a visitor comes to your website, they don't really have any confusion about what to do. When they click on something, it does what they expect it to do. When they navigate to another part of the site, it goes to where they think it's gonna go. It's easy to use. And that could be something like load time as well. We'll just take the average and say 7 seconds before your visitor completely loses interest. Completely loses interest. If your website takes 5 seconds to just load the content on the screen, guess what? You will have 2 seconds for them to find what they need before they're just like, this isn't working for me, I'm gonna go to the next link. It's that quick, guys. And you'll see later on that we are gonna bring this up again, call to action, but as far as ease of use, the customer, the visitor, has no question in their mind about what they're supposed to do next. That's ease of use. So whether it's a call to action or it's a, hey, fill out this form, or hey, do this thing, that kind of thing, they know that the next step for them is very obvious and they don't have to go searching for it. It's just there on the screen. They know they can click and move to the next thing. That's ease of use. You want the website to load quickly. You want the customer to never having to search for something or look for something that's maybe a little obtuse. It's just there. It's just easy. Number 2, mobile friendly, or some people call it mobile first. So what that means is that when a visitor comes to your website, they can either be on a laptop, they could be on a tablet, or they could be on a mobile phone. And the difference here is that it's screen size, the real estate on the screen. That is the difference. So if you're on a desktop computer, it's usually around 24-inch monitors, usually 1920 pixels wide, that kind of thing. But on a mobile phone, for example, you've got 350 pixels wide. So it's super tiny compared to the gigantic screen or resolution on your desktop. And so the big difference here is that the website kind of realigns itself to fit on a mobile phone. It used to be that you had a mobile site and then you had a desktop site. That's not the case anymore. Code has advanced and now it's one set of thing that recognizes what your screen size is and then reorganizes the parts. And then it will show up on a mobile in a different fashion than it would if it was on a larger screen. And all those spaces in between too. So tablets have their own setup as well. And that's all done on the back end, with CSS and that kind of thing, breakpoints, that kind of stuff. But the long and short of it is that you want to make sure that your website is mobile friendly. And there's a big caveat here. You have to look at your analytics. I use Google Analytics to determine my kind of site traffic. And my site traffic tells me that 90% of the people that visit my website are at a computer. They're not on their phones, they're not on their tablets, they are literally on the computer doing their thing. And it makes sense because I'm a website designer. So the people that are looking for me are in business environments. They're usually in offices or home offices. And they're not looking for me on their phone, they're not looking for me on a tablet, which are usually kind of leisurely things, you're sitting in a chair or you're eating your breakfast, that kind of thing. The people that are looking for me are already in business mode. So it makes sense that they would be in their office, right? So that stat makes sense for me. So is mobile first really a big deal for me? Not really, but kind of. And the kind of is because Google really likes sites that are mobile friendly. Not because my customers give a hoot, because they don't, because 90% of them are on a desktop machine. But Google cares because Google actually gives preference to sites that are mobile friendly. So that's something to keep in mind. So my site is optimized for mobile, even though nobody really visits me on a mobile phone. Number 3, you are always growing. What does that mean? It means that you don't just put the website up and then leave it alone for 10 years before you decide that it's outdated and I want to redesign. Because that's a lot of all my clients too. But basically what you want to do is make sure that you are always growing your site. And growing can also mean updating. So let's say you have a bunch of blog posts. Well, if once a week you go back through and you update a blog post, that counts as growing because you're keeping your site content fresh and up to date. And Google notices, because Google knows the last time that it came through, hey, is this page exactly the same as it was the last time I made a pass through the site? And if it is, they know that you haven't updated that page. Why is that important? That's important because if Google's noticing that you're not updating content, a new page that looks like it has more modern information on it, they're gonna serve up that page above your page. Does that mean you have to go through and update all your blog posts and all your content all the time? No, not really. Being updated, that you're adding new content, that you're putting new blog posts out, that you're, modifying the site somehow, that shows Google that you have intentions of making sure that the site is relatively up to date. Just because you've modified it. Doing that on a consistent basis will help you grow your site and your traffic just because your site's up to date. Number 4. All right, so number 4 is to make sure that your site is search friendly. So this kind of falls in line with like some of the other stuff we've already said, but it's slightly different in that we want to make sure that Google has zero problems accessing our site. So what does that look like? It means that you have a sitemap set up, that you have very easy to navigate, like all your buttons work. Like as Google goes through your site and looks at all of the possible links, they all work, they all function, right? That's step number 1. And I'm gonna leave a link in the description box below of like some free like online link checkers. Basically you plug in your website and it will tell you if there's anything wrong. Now it will probably give you more information than you care to see, but it will help you identify if like maybe you have like an old sales page that's not linked to anywhere. It will help you figure that out and then you can correct that issue, because it does ding against your site when you have stuff like that. Secondly, make sure you have a privacy policy and a terms of use / terms of conditions on your site. Those 2 documents, you can find a template for them anywhere on the site. Just Google it, you'll find a free template, use it, plug it into your site, and then forget about it. The reason that you want to have it on your site is because a business site or a site that looks like it cares about its customers, about Google's customers, right? Because they're sending their customers to your site. So they care about you having good business practices. So putting those 2 things on your site actually helps show those business practices are in use. You have a privacy policy in which you state that, hey, we're gonna take care of your content. Anything that you put on the site, we're gonna try to protect it. Like if they fill out a form, you're not gonna like turn around and sell it. Or if you do, you say that you're gonna turn around and sell it. Like you're being very forthcoming with the way that you're using the information that that customer is giving you. Google cares about that. Secondly, it also cares about you having a terms of use / terms of condition. The agreement that you make with the person that visits your site, you put that into the terms of use, saying, hey, when you use the site, this is how we're going to behave and this is how you're going to behave. That's what that terms of use is. It's less, this is how we're protecting your information, that privacy policy part. And it's more, when you use the site, we're going to be using cookies, we're going to be doing these tracking the movement, we're going to be doing these kinds of things. And you could put those in your privacy policy as well. But it's more of a like, hey, as you use the site, this is how we expect you to behave. So those documents protect both the customer and they protect you and they make you seem like more of a legitimate business. Number 5, you want to make sure that your website is technically sound. Now I've alluded to this a couple times with like those, making sure you don't have bad links, that all your buttons work, that all your links work, that kind of thing. But also that your site loads fast. You can see how a lot of this stuff overlaps, but it's very, very true. You want to make sure that your site loads fast. You want to make sure that it doesn't time out, that it has like, I didn't mention this in the last one, but make sure that it has an SSL certificate. I'm gonna put that up here in like a little, what do they call it, the information cards. Go back and check out that video if you haven't looked at it. SSL certificates are usually free. So being able to like put one on your site should be like a no-brainer because it makes you look better with Google and it makes you look better with your customers, which is, the people that we're trying to, impress. But making sure that your website is technically sound is super, super, super important. For that part of it, you can use something like Hotjar or something like that to just kind of see, well, where are people clicking, and then seeing how you can make that workflow work a little bit better. But as far as technically sound, guys, like you don't have to do it all at once, and I wouldn't recommend you do it all at once. Fix one thing, then fix another. Maybe go through and fix all your bad links. Then go through and see if you can speed up your site. Then go through if you can like downsize the size of your images so that your pages load faster. You don't have to do it all at once, but you doing those updates will also go into that whole like making sure that your website is growing part that we talked about before. So fix your technical errors and kind of get a win on the other part as well. All right, number 6 is clear call to actions, also called CTAs. Now, what is a CTA? A CTA is something like, hey, fill out this form to contact me. Hey, buy now. Hey, it's basically break in that line of thought, that train of thought with the customer, the visitor, and then saying, do this next, donate something, or go visit this other blog post, or go view this YouTube video. Those are all call to actions because you're saying, hey, now that you've done this, I want you to do this. That's a call to action. And every single page on your site should have a call to action. Even if it's something minor like, hey, go see this next blog post, or go check out this podcast. Whatever that next one is, or sign up for my email list, that's a good one. Any of those things will improve your user experience because you're doing the thinking for them. You're not making them think. Really good book by Steve Krug. Don't Make Me Think. Check that one out. Last one, number 7, being consistent. Oh my gosh, if there's something that I could hound home to anybody, it would be consistent. If you fall behind in a week in writing your blog post, do it all the time. Or if you fail to put up a YouTube video, again, happens. Life, mom and 2 kids. That happens. However, being consistent will get you to your end goal so much faster, so much faster. You have a tendency of to have 3 weeks on or being really, really good, but then life slams you in the face and you can't post a blog post that week. Make sure that you write yourself a couple extra blog posts, as just part of your routine. Try to squeeze out an extra blog post every 2 months. Don't publish it. And then when you have that week from hell, you just go ahead and add that one that you've got saved in drafts and just let that publish. And then, keep building up that backup queue so that for the next life event, that comes in. So it's not just a matter of being consistent per week, but making sure that you allow for the times when life throws you for a loop. We talked before about being consistent with updating your site technically, making sure your site's always growing, making sure that you're generating new forms of traffic, all those things. I mean, that's we're talking about whole marketing plan here, but being consistent with continually updating your site is going to give you the best benefit long term. And remember, you are building your platform here. You're not building Facebooks, you're not building some other social medias, you're not building YouTubes, you're building your platform. So if something ever happens to one of those other platforms, and we've seen how many platforms that oh man, that's never gonna die. Do you remember Periscope? Exactly, and that was a Twitter back thing, and that's gone. Vines, I think Vines were a thing at one point. That was also a Twitter thing. Guys, stuff goes away. It does, Facebook has morphed into this meta thing. So it's not just that businesses go away, but they also change, right? So building your own platform, having your own thing means that you can never go away. And that's also why people tell you to build your email list, And I personally have never had massive success with my email list. That is something I'm working on changing this year. Those 2,000 people on my email list are also at that 2,000 plus the 10,000 people that visit my website every month, 12,000 people that are in my sphere, right? They're my people, I guess you could call them, plus the people that are on YouTube. And you add all that together, those are kind of the people, I shouldn't include YouTube, but the website and the email address, those are the people that are my subscribers to my platform, if you want to look at it in that format. They're people that I can market to even if YouTube goes down, even if Facebook doesn't work, even if Instagram for the 5 millionth time does not work. I always have an avenue to contact people. So my bottom line, my income doesn't rely specifically on one of these baskets, right? I have videos obviously going up. I have Instagram posts that are going out. I'm trying to get into doing reels, hey, Instagram, follow me here kind of thing. But not having all my eggs in one basket is a major, major thing. I mean, how many times have you ever heard people have an emergency fund? Because if you lose your job, which happened to me, but if you ever lose your job or whatever, you have this emergency fund to fall back on, and it makes a world of difference. Your credit doesn't go blow up on you, and you're good to go. It's the same thing when you're talking about your business. You don't want to have everything in one basket. So I'm always encouraging people to be hey, you can always go to your hosting company and download your files, and then have, which you should do anyway, and then you'll have a copy of them in case the hosting company goes away, or Facebook blows up or whatever. Like, you'll have all these things, and then you can just pick up the pieces and then not start from zero. You're not like starting over. That's the one thing. When people ask you if you need a website, you need a website. And the reason, even if it's a small little dinky one that you don't have a lot of traffic to, whatever, having a way for people to reach you that is not dependent on an executive somewhere making a decision. So that's it for me for right now. I'm gonna step aside and say, hey, why don't you go check out this video? That SSL certificate video is a really good one to go watch. If you have any questions, I want you to say, hey, thanks, Wendy, and like, here's my question down here in the comments. Again, comments boost the video, so I do appreciate the support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, take care, bye-bye.